Hello, hello, everybody. We are streaming live into the ADHD Village Facebook group. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello. We are streaming live into the ADHD Village Facebook group. We are recording, so those who can't make it can always join in later. Welcome, everybody. So glad to see you. So glad you're here. This is day 4 of the Calming the ADHD third annual summit. My name is Laura Dawn. I'm your host of the summit and your coach inside the ADHD Village. And I'm so glad to see you. This is so nice. Instead of me just doing lives in Facebook, I get to actually see you as well. And just so everyone knows, this is being recorded, so those who can't make it can always watch later, and it will be shared on my YouTube channel. So it's your choice how you show up for this call, whether your cameras are on or off. That's up to you and what you're comfortable with. I love seeing your beautiful faces. It makes me so happy. So as you're joining, let us know where in the world you are coming from. This is fascinating to me. We have 43 different countries. People who are participating in this event come from 43 different countries, which is incredible. That is how we shift the parenting paradigm globally. This is how we change the way the world treats kids with ADHD. Like this is the incredible power of the internet, that we can build this community even though we live far apart from one another. So let me open up the chat so I can see where you are coming from. Oh my goodness. Hello, Lalitha from Germany. Hi, Tiffany. Oh my goodness, it's going so fast. Indiana, Hungary. Hi, Anita from Hungary. Colorado. Hi, Rose in Colorado. Got Northwest Florida. Hi, Deanna from Kansas. Hi, Chanel from Texas. Guten Morgen, Corinne from Germany. Hello, we've got Texas, we've got Florida, Switzerland. Elizabeth is in Switzerland. Welcome. Minnesota, Denver. Hi, Susan. Glad you could join us. Julie from Maryland. Katie from Minnesota. We've got more Germany. Guten Morgen. Actually, for you, is it still morning? Guten Tag. It's afternoon where you are. We've got Jennifer from Toronto. Tiffany. Hello, hello. Oh my goodness. And this is incredible. I'm so glad that you're here. This is the How Not to Lose Your Cool, especially when your kids do a masterclass. And from my personal experience having an ADHD brain and raising 2 kids with ADHD, and my teaching experience and my coaching experience, I find that when we're raising kids with ADHD, the biggest struggles tend to be around emotional regulation and executive functioning, mindset kind of stuff. But the emotional regulation seems to drive everything because, as you know, when your emotions are high, intelligence is low. When your emotions are high, you can't access those executive function skills that are required for problem solving and rational thinking and logic and time management, organization, all the things. So really those emotions come first. Our emotions drive our actions. So having some strategies to get our emotions in check is really important. Hello, hello. We still have people joining in. Let us know where you're coming from. Hi, Jill from North Carolina. Hi, Brady from Florida. Hi, Nicole from the UK. So glad to see you. Hi, Tracy. Vishnu, hello. I'm so glad that you're thankful for this opportunity, and I'm thankful that you're here today. So I'm going to try to be mindful of time and jump in and get going. I tend to get so excited at the beginning and chat a lot at the beginning, but I want to jump right in and be mindful. We have an hour and a half together. I'm going to try to stick to that time because my coach is offering a coaching session in an hour and a half from now, and I really want to be a part of that. So I share that with you because even though I'm a coach, I still have a coach. I see a lot of value in in the support we get from coaches, we're not meant to do this work alone. We're not meant to raise kids alone. That's why the name of my company is the ADHD Village. Like, I firmly believe, I've always believed it takes a village to raise a child. When I graduated from Teachers College, we had to write up like our personal kind of statements that were like our driving philosophies. And I had the quote in there, "It takes a village to raise a child." Like, I love that. And I really, truly felt honored to be a part of a child's life, like not as their parent, but as their teacher. Because I know that teaching is like, you play such a vital role in kids' lives. And so I always had that philosophy, it takes a village to raise a child. And it wasn't until I had my own kids with neurodiversities that I felt the impact of that meaning, like really and truly, especially when your child has a neurodiversity. Like, we need support, we need love from others, we need someone to talk to and bounce ideas off of. It's great if you have someone who can watch the kids for you so that you can breathe or go for a walk or run an errand without, so really this is what I'm trying to create online in the virtual world, is this village. And I hope that throughout this summit that you have felt some connection with other people who get it. I hope that you can feel my genuine love. I'm trying to pour that love right through that screen that you're watching me from. But I truly I'm a mom who gets it. I know how hard it is. I know the pain that can be caused by the situations that, like, I know because I've been there, I get it. So this is why, like, my parenting program is called Love You Parenting. Like, it's about giving love. So I hope that you feel the love. I love you. I love you. I love you. I hope you're receiving that. Okay. I just want to make sure that this is streaming into the ADHD Village group. I have room on Zoom for 100 people. And then after that, it will be streaming into the ADHD Village so people can watch from there. And hi, Heather, I see that you're half asleep in Australia, watching from Australia. It's late at night for you. Thanks for joining, Heather. So glad you're here. Okay. Okay. So hi, Terry. I see you're watching on Facebook. Welcome. Glad you're here. Hi, Jamila, another dear friend from Australia. I'm so honored that you're staying up so late to watch. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That means the world. Okay, so I put a poll in the Facebook group this morning asking, because I've got different components that I go through when I teach this masterclass, and I asked what was most valuable for you to learn. So understanding the ADHD brain and what causes the behaviors, that was one of them. Preventing situations from escalating and meltdowns and all those things from happening. Understanding our own triggers. And then what to do in the heat of the moment. And that last one, what to do in the heat of the moment when kids' emotions are high, like what do we do? That one had the most votes. That's the area that most people are interested in learning about. So I'm going to be mindful of my time, and I'll leave that part to the end, and I'll spend the most time in that area of what to do when things get escalated, but I'll be touching on the other ones, the other areas as well. Hi, Mariah. Glad you're watching. Welcome. Okay. So the area that seemed to have the least amount of interest was understanding the ADHD brain and what causes the behavior, but I'm going to touch on that really quickly. You guys are all here because you have a big heart, and let me know if I'm right in the comments. Like, type a yes, like you would do anything to help your child. If that's you, if that's how you feel that you would do anything to help your child, type yes in the comments. Yes. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of yeses come in, of course. Like, that's why you're here. And you probably already have a pretty good understanding of what ADHD is. You live with it. You live it, breathe it every day, so you get it. Probably in your world there are people who don't get it. Sometimes it could even be your parenting partner, your spouse. It might be grandparents may not get it. It may be the teachers that truly don't get it. It may be your friends who don't get it, which can feel a little bit isolating when people that you love and people who are supposed to be your supports don't get it. But you do get it. And I think everyone who's on this call gets it. I keep freezing. Jennifer said I keep freezing. Is anyone else seeing me freezing? I wonder if that's your computer, Jennifer. Okay. So yeah, so that's thank you. That's part of the reason for this ADHD village. I want there to be community of people who get it so that you feel safe in the Facebook group, that you can post something, that you can share, you can ask a question, and you're surrounded by people who get it, who will offer loving support. This is not a place to, and I don't even feel like I have to say it in the group. Like in some groups, I see people writing like only be kind and, you know, all that stuff. I only see kindness in the group. I don't see anybody being negative to each other. Like it's really a loving community. So I'm grateful for that. Okay. So the ADHD brain, just a few quick little things that I just want to bring to your attention. I think it helps. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is when you enter the ADHD Village Facebook group, I actually screen every single person that comes in. My team has asked me before, like, do you want me to do the screening? I'm like, no, like I actually read. So that's why sometimes people will end up sending me emails and saying, can you let me in the group? And a lot of people have been coming in lately, but I want to make sure that you're a good fit for the group, that you're raising kids with ADHD, or maybe you have ADHD yourself and not sure if your kids do yet, but I really want to make sure that that we're creating a community where we feel safe. Anyway, so there's a question when you come in, like, I think it's like, do you have a question about ADHD or something? And something that I've seen come up quite a bit is, how do I know if my child's behavior is a result of ADHD, or is it just something else? Like, are they just being defiant? Are they just trying to get a reaction out of me? Are they just, you know, being rude? Are they just spoiled? And that's why this is happening. And it doesn't have to do with ADHD. So let me know in the comments if that's kind of something that you wonder when you see the behaviors. Is it because of ADHD, or is it something else? And what I say to that is, I like to share this quote by Dr. Stuart Shanker. Dr. Stuart Shanker is the creator of the Self-Reg Institute in Canada. He's a big creator of the kindergarten curriculum, which I teach in Ontario, the self-regulation part. But there's a quote by him that I love, and it's, see a child differently, see a different child. So if your child, for example, is rolling their eyes at you, and let's say it's a teenager, I've got 2 teenage boys, so teenagers rolling his eyes at me, I can have the thought, that is so rude and disrespectful. And so I'm seeing my teenager as rude and disrespectful. So we have thoughts, and this is shown on a brain scan, that our thoughts create our feelings. So on a brain scan, you can see that thoughts happen a fraction of a second before feelings do. So thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings drive our actions. So here's this teenager rolling their eyes. My thought is, that's rude, it's disrespectful. That creates a feeling inside of me. I might feel hurt. I might feel annoyed or irritated. I might feel unappreciated. I don't know if that's a feeling, but I might feel kind of icky. And then from those feelings, that's going to drive my actions. So I might say to my teenager, that's rude, or don't make that face at me, or what did I do to you to deserve that? I do everything for you. Like, I've just picked you up from school. I've made your dinner. I'm getting ready to take you to soccer practice, and you rolled your eyes at me. Like how rude. Like, don't do that. That's so disrespectful. So, I mean, there's that. So I have the thought, he's rude and disrespectful. That gives me this icky feeling of disappointment or irritability or whatever, that drives my actions. If I take that quote from Dr. Stuart Shanker and put a different lens in front of it, see a child differently, see a different child. So now I'm going to get curious instead of furious. I'm going to flip that lens. Now I see the teenager roll the eyes. And instead of having the thought, he's rude, he's disrespectful, I'm going to have the thought, I wonder what's going on with him right now. That's not like him. I wonder what's going on. Or, gee, he must have had a rough day, and that's why he's reacting this way to me. Or I could even have the thought, he feels safe enough to express his emotions with me. I wonder what's going on. So just being really mindful of your thoughts. And when I have those kinds of thoughts, like I wonder what's going on for him. Did he have a rough day and he's taking it out on me? This isn't like his typical behavior. When I have those thoughts, rather than he's rude, he's disrespectful, like how dare he do that to me, I'm open to feeling curious, compassionate. I'm open to having even a feeling that's more neutral rather than, getting my back up. And then I show up in a different way for my child, because if I'm getting curious, if I'm open, if I'm compassionate, he's rolled the eyes, and now I might choose to say nothing at all. Sometimes when emotions are high, intelligence is low, we need to stay quiet. So you've probably seen me do this because I share this all the time, but Dr. Daniel Siegel uses the hand for a model of the brain. So this part of the hand represents this part of the brain, which is the frontal lobe, where all the higher order thinking skills happens. This is where all executive functions take place in this part of the brain. Problem solving, conflict resolution, impulse control, time management, organization, like all the things that make you really human happen here. When emotions are high, it's like you flipped your lid and you actually lose access to this part of your brain. Now the emotions are taking over. So if I'm quiet, so it's hard to process language when this part of your brain has gone offline. It's hard to process language. So sometimes just staying quiet and giving space is the best thing you can do. It doesn't mean that I'm allowing the eye rolling to happen. It doesn't mean that I'm like allowing this behavior and letting my child think it's okay to show behaviors that are considered disrespectful. It means in this moment, my strategy could be just to stay quiet and give some space. And then later, when things have cooled down, I could say, hey, bud, like, I'm wondering if something's going on with you. You seemed frustrated or annoyed. Is there anything I can help you with? And then, once we have a conversation, kind of figure out what's going on, later I can say, I noticed you rolled your eyes. And I just want to let you know, I don't even know if you realize you rolled your eyes, but I just want to let you know when that happens, it's, I don't like it. It doesn't feel good in my body. It feels to me like it's disrespectful, if that's where you want to go. So I'm not saying that we're allowing the different behaviors. I'm just saying in that moment, maybe staying quiet and giving space is the thing that you do. So again, going back to if I have the thought, like, I wonder what's going on, he must be having a bad day, I'm able to feel more compassionate, more open, neutral, curious, and those feelings are going to drive my behaviors. I might choose to say to him, I think maybe you need some space right now. We can talk later. Or I can see that you're having a hard time. That's okay. I'm here if you need to talk. So going back to what I started with, when people come into the ADHD village and there's that question I often see, is their behavior a result of their ADHD or is it something else? And my response is, doesn't matter. Does it actually matter? What matters is how you choose to show up. So if I have the thought, he's acting this way because he has poor impulse control, because he struggles with emotional regulation, that's part of ADHD. I understand that. And if I'm thinking that, that's going to lead to me having compassion and curiosity and openness and kindness. Whereas if I'm thinking, no, this isn't because of ADHD, or it might not be because of ADHD, it might just because they're spoiled. Or it might be because they're a brat, or it might be because they're trying to get a reaction out of their brother and they're being mean. If that's what I'm thinking, I'm going to show up differently. So this is why I say it doesn't really matter what's causing the behavior, because we wouldn't know for sure whether it's ADHD or something else unless we get right inside their brains and find out, which we're not going to do. So what matters is how you choose to show up. We can't control their behaviors as much as we want to. If I knew how to control kids' behaviors, I'd be a billionaire, right? Like, we can't control their behaviors. We can control our behaviors. We can control how we think, how we feel, how we act, how we show up. We can control how we respond rather than react. We can control our own emotional regulation, which will co-regulate them, which will impact their behavior. You've probably also heard often that behavior is communication, like, right? So the eye rolling example, that's communicating something. And if we're just focusing on that behavior, like, don't you roll your eyes at me, that's disrespectful, we're not getting to what's underneath. Maybe he was rolling his eyes because he had a rotten day at school. Maybe the teacher centered him out in front of the class. Maybe the friend that he usually has lunch with told him he couldn't have lunch with him and he had to sit by himself and he felt really lonely and isolated. Maybe somebody made fun of him in gym class and he's coming home carrying all of that. And now you've made a demand, like something simple, like, can you hang up your backpack? And then he rolled his eyes because that was too much for him to manage. So then just picking on the don't you roll your eyes at me, we're missing what's underneath, which is so much more important, right? How can I support what's underneath? Hi, Alma. Thanks for joining. So glad to see you. So the few little differences that I do want to share, it comes to your mindset that you choose to go in. See a child differently, see a different child. You get to show up the way you choose to show up. And I know it's not quite as simple as how you choose to show up, because there's we have emotions too. And when we're exhausted, burnt out, when we're feeling irritated, it's harder to show up in a way we want to. And I'll get into giving you some strategies about that in a minute. But we get to show up the way we want to. So with the ADHD brain, there are some differences that I just want to quickly point out. So often with ADHD, the amygdala is very sensitive. So when I showed you this model of the brain, here's the prefrontal lobe where the executive function skills take place. That has gone offline when emotions are high. The amygdala is the part of the brain that's always scanning for danger, always on the lookout for danger. So, thousands of years ago in caveman days, it was looking for a saber-toothed tiger or something life-threatening. Now the amygdala is scanning for danger, and the danger could be, I didn't get invited to a birthday party. My mom's asking too much of me. The teacher gave me a dirty look. I can't find my homework. I don't know how to start my homework. My tag is itching me and driving me bonkers. All of those things can get that amygdala heightened, which is going to put the child into fight, flight, or freeze mode. So when they're in fight, flight, or freeze mode, the emotions have taken over, the executive function skills have gone offline, and this happens more and more intensely in kids with ADHD. So keeping in mind, it takes 25 years for a brain to fully develop, and even longer if that child has a neurodiversity like ADHD. So we're working with brains that are very immature. They're under construction still. These are brains that are more likely to be in fight, flight, or freeze. They're sensing danger. There's also the right and the left hemisphere of the brain. Often the connection between the two sides is, I think about it as like walkie-talkies. The right side of the brain and the left side of the brain are walkie-talkies, and they're static. So the communication between the two sides is not always strong in ADHD brains. Another difference with an ADHD brain is that there is an imbalance of dopamine and adrenaline. So if your child is on medication, the medication is giving them the dopamine and adrenaline, which is required to fuel the frontal lobe. I'm not saying take medication or don't medication. I'm not qualified to say one way or the other, but that's what ADHD medications do. Now, there's also natural ways that you can fuel the brain with adrenaline and dopamine. And whether your child's on medication or not, I love to get those natural ways in as well. But there is an imbalance of dopamine and adrenaline in the ADHD brain. And that is the fuel that is required to access the executive function skills. So if you think of this part of the brain as like the engine of the brain, and it needs the gas to get in there to get things going, and the gas isn't coming because they don't have enough adrenaline and dopamine. So here's their executive function skills just sitting there, and it can't get going because it's not getting the dopamine and adrenaline that it needs. And if you watched Jennifer Kalari's session yesterday, she explains this really nicely. These brains are always seeking dopamine and adrenaline, and the seeking is often unconscious, but when they pick a fight with their sibling, when they get in trouble from their teacher or their mom, that actually gives their brains a hit of dopamine and adrenaline, especially if they're anticipating the reaction. If they know they roll their eyes at mom and mom is going to yell, so they've predicted it, and this could be a totally subconscious, but they predicted it, and it happens, mom yells, then their brain's like, see, I told you that would happen. Dopamine. And mom's getting angry and child's getting angry. So there's the adrenaline. So now you've just fueled their frontal lobe with your reaction. And now they feel better, and you probably feel terrible. So we want to just be mindful of that, because we don't want to be fueling their frontal lobes with our emotional reactions. So I think it's important to kind of have those things in mind, that their ADHD is a neurobiological brain difference. There are differences in the brain. Their brains are immature because it takes over 25 years to mature, and they've got a lot of emotional stuff going on with those brains. So when they eye roll, when they, talk back, when they shove their brother, if we can have that in mind, I think it allows us to be more compassionate. Jennifer says, oh my goodness, that explains so much. Yeah. And that's why I think it's important just to kind of touch on that at the beginning. So let me know how many kids you have, what their ages are, maybe even pop in the comments. And I'm going to do my best, because there's things I want to share with you. And we have about an hour together still. So there are things that I want to share with you. I will try to pop through some of the questions. If I don't get all to them all, I can connect with you later. If you're trying to reach out to me and not getting through emails, sometimes my emails get buried. DMing me on Facebook Messenger is the best way to go. So Mary, you have a 10-year-old. Brady has 2 kids, 16 and 14. 3 adult children, 2 girls, 14 and 10, 8-year-old daughter, 2 girls, 7 and 9, 2 kids, 6 and 5, and they mirror each other in everything. Yes. Isn't that interesting? They are like little mirrors. They mirror us and they mirror each other. And this is something that parents will often say, like, I have one child with ADHD and all these big undesirable or explosive behaviors, and my other child is now mimicking those behaviors. So let me know if that's something that you connect with. Terry, you've got 4 grandkids. I love when grandmas are on. Thank you, Terry, for being here. Jamila, your husband has ADHD. Heather, 2 kids, 6 and 9. Okay. And my boys are 13 and 15, both with ADHD and very different presentations. So my younger one has inattentive ADHD and my older one has combined type. Okay. So usually at this part of the masterclass, we get into triggers, but I want to do something different. I think lots of you have noticed, because I've been sharing this in the Facebook group and talking about it during the lives. About 2 weeks ago on Facebook, somebody shared a post about glimmers. Let me know if you know what this is. If you know what a glimmer is, put like a little star or something, or the word glimmer in the comments. So a glimmer is the opposite of a trigger. So I think we're pretty familiar with what a trigger is. Like when we're feeling our buttons getting pushed, when something sets us off, when something annoys or upsets us, that's a trigger. A glimmer is the opposite. It's a tiny little micro moment that brings us joy, happiness, peace, harmony, serenity, like, and it's simple, simple, simple little moments. And I'm bringing this in now because it is really, it's important. Like where our focus goes, our energy flows. And if we are spending, and I know the point of this workshop is to talk about how to keep our cool and meltdowns and focusing on that. But if our focus and our energy is constantly on, my kids roll their eyes, my kids don't listen, they make a mess, they talk back, they get in trouble at school, all these things that are upsetting and triggering, it really, like, you can feel the heaviness in that. You can feel like depleted, burnt out, like somebody said they felt like a failure. Sarah Nikorek, who is a master neuro coach, who was on the live in Facebook yesterday, said she felt like a failure of a mother because she had the thought, I don't take my daughter to the park enough. Like all these little things can just deplete and suck out our energy. And when our energy is depleted, it's really hard to show up for our kids in the way that we want to show up. Our kids with ADHD need extra love and support and kindness and patience. And if we're really depleted, it's hard to give them what they need and what we want to give them. So a glimmer is the opposite. A glimmer is this little moment of pleasure and happiness. And the more we notice glimmers, the more of them we'll notice. And when we're noticing a glimmer and really thinking about it and feeling deep gratitude for it or celebrating it, we actually give our brains a dose of feel-good neurochemicals. So a beautiful example of this, a lovely grandmother in our group, and she was on our VIP call yesterday. I think her name is CJ, but she said that she started doing glimmers with her 5-year-old grandson. So she picked him up from school. She told him what a glimmer was. And she said, my glimmer is spending this time with you right now. And did you have any glimmers at school? He said, yes, when I got to have free play, that was a glimmer. And they ended up playing a game back and forth to see who could have the most glimmers. Well, I had this glimmer and I had this glimmer. And so when you're doing that, especially when you're sharing back and forth with someone and telling them what your glimmer was, and you're connecting with somebody over this, your brain gets this dose of feel-good neurochemicals. And dose stands for dopamine. So we talked about the ADHD brain needs dopamine. Oxytocin. So that's what happens from that feeling of love. So when you're telling somebody about your glimmer and they're excited about it and you're listening to their glimmer and they're sharing, oxytocin, serotonin, so that happiness chemical, and endorphins. So I'd love, love, love for you right now to type into the comments a glimmer that you've already had today. And it can be simple. It can be like, I like the way the sun is shining on my yellow flowers. That's a glimmer. I'm enjoying watching the wind blow the leaves and the flowers behind me. To me, that's a glimmer. There's a bird sitting on my fence and it's been there like for 20 minutes. That's a glimmer. Simple little things. Drinking my coffee on my deck outside, snuggle time with my little boy when he is calm. Look at all these lovely glimmers. We didn't have any meltdowns on the way to school. So you had a peaceful way to school or a calm way to school. Chatting with my son. Oh, 10-year-old started cleaning her room. I didn't oversleep. Yay, Kate, I'm glad you're here and it's early where you are out west. Lovely. So yes, like all these simple moments and taking a moment to recognize them, because these glimmers are happening all the time. But if our mind is spinning on all the overwhelm and all the to-do things and all the triggers, we're not noticing these moments. So if you can allow yourself to notice the moments and feel deep gratitude, Like, this is amazing. My guinea pig greeting me when I fed them breakfast. Like, enjoy that moment, Deanna. My guinea pigs were so cute and they came and they were greeting me as I fed them breakfast and they were so sweet and they're so cuddly, like just really like feeling it. Is a glimmer like a win? Yeah, it can be. It's a micro moment that brings you joy. Any micro moment that brings you joy. So it can be whatever you want it to be. It's the opposite of something that triggers you. Oh, I love seeing all these glimmers. And the thing with writing the glimmers in the comments, and I encourage you in the ADHD Village Facebook group, if you have a glimmer, make a post, share it. And if you see somebody sharing their glimmer, celebrate with them, because your brain loves to celebrate, and your brain doesn't know the difference whether you're celebrating for yourself or somebody else. And your brain also doesn't know the difference whether you're celebrating something small or something big. So my 13-year-old granddaughter's deep eyes and told her I love her so much. Oh, so sweet. He cleaned his plate after breakfast. Yes, he cleaned his plate after breakfast. I'm so happy for you. Like, that is so exciting. Yay, that must have felt so good. Like, if you can celebrate other people's wins and celebrations, like lift your arms up and yay, or like high five them through the camera, even if they can't see you doing the high five, like that gives your brain that dose of feel-good neurochemicals. So honestly, by sharing in our Facebook group these amazing things that have happened and celebrating, like, we're building community, we're lifting each other up. But so you might think, oh, like, so my kid hung up his backpack today, it's not a big deal. But if he always leaves his backpack in the middle of the floor, and today he put the backpack on the hook without being asked, that's a huge celebration. Put it in the Facebook group. Let us all be like, yay, this happened for you. This is amazing. So by you putting it out there, like, you're putting your glimmer in writing, you're giving your glimmer attention, you're feeling gratitude for your glimmer. So you're getting this dose of feel-good neurochemicals, and then you're also giving a gift to everybody in the group, because you're allowing us to celebrate with you. So we're getting the benefits too, which is really, really cool. So keep sharing your glimmers. Let us keep celebrating each other's glimmers. And now let's flip it and talk about triggers. So, because that's why we're here today, right? So knowing what your triggers are is really important. Recognizing what the triggers are. So once you know what the triggers are, I think it's important to bring consciousness to it, so that as these things happen again and again, you're not in this cycle of the same thing happening again and again. So take a moment and write down if you're willing to share. And if you're not willing to share here, you can write it in your own little notebook, but get it out of your brain and get it out. What are your triggers? Dirty dishes in the bedroom, siblings fighting, being mean, running late, clutter. Yeah. Being ignored, struggling with devices, disrespectful talk. So you're not alone in this, how my husband reacts to my kids. A lot of moms that I work with are not on the same page as their partners. And sometimes that's the way it is at the beginning of this process. Sometimes it changes, sometimes it doesn't change. But yes, a lot of moms feel triggered when they're doing like all the work. They're doing the research, they're going to the workshops and the webinars and the summits and doing all the things, and their partner is doing things differently than they are. And it can feel like they're undoing my work. It's okay. Kids need one person who they feel deeply connected to. You keep doing the work, there will be a ripple effect in your family. And I can tell you this from my own experience. I started working with a coach, doing work on myself. I wasn't even focused on the kids or anything. I was just focused on myself. I was fascinated by the idea that your thoughts create your feelings drive your actions, and that I could use that to have anything I desire. Like that's what fascinated me. And I was like, I want to learn how to do this more. I want to learn how to manage my triggers and my emotions and think consciously rather than let my automatic thoughts. And so by working on myself, the ripple effect in my family, it was unbelievable. Like my kids started getting along better with each other. My husband's relationship with the kids got better. My relationship with my husband got better. And it was just by me working on myself. So that, and I see this all the time with my clients. They come into Warrior Mamas or into private coaching. We do the work, and the ripple effect for the whole family is incredible. That's so exciting about this work. So that was just in response to someone who, like, my husband triggers. Yes. So it starts with you. You're the leader. You're the captain of your ship, the leader of your family. It starts with you. You're here right now doing this work. Yeah. Okay. So now that we've identified our triggers, I want you to think about, what does it feel like in your body when you're triggered? What does it feel like in your body when you're triggered? And also, what feeling word would you give yourself when you're triggered? So a feeling word. Okay, so I'm seeing sick to my stomach, frustration and disappointment. There we go. So how are you feeling? They say, name it to tame it. So name that emotion, like frustration and disappointment, like Summer just shared. Be it anger. Marissa said anger. Feel it to heal it. I see anxiety. So that pit in your stomach. Where else do you feel it? Internal shaking. Helpless, anxiety. A flood in my chest. Hot, tense, pressure in my head. Guilt, shortness of breath, tightness in the chest, undervalued. Tension in my head, anxiety, a concrete block in my body, fear. And as I'm reading all this out loud, are you feeling the heaviness in this? And I wonder if me just saying these things out loud, if you're feeling any of it in your body, like a heaviness, frozen, waiting to be saved. Yeah, some are saying, yeah, I can feel like me reading it out loud, it feels heavy and yucky. That's not a place where I can be my best self from. I can't show up in the world and be the best version of me. I can't be the best teacher, the best mother to my kids, the best wife, the best person for myself, the best, coach for my clients when that is going on. So type agree if you agree with me that all of those, oh my goodness, suffocating, failure, shutdown, restlessness, type yuck or agree or something if like that feels yucky to you and you don't want those feelings. Okay, agree. Yep. Okay, we don't want those feelings. So what do you do when you don't want those feelings? So we're noticing we're being triggered by something. Maybe the kids are fighting, so it's triggering. I'm now getting frustrated. I feel the squeezing in my chest, a pit in my stomach. I don't like this feeling. So if you're willing to share in the comments, what do you do when that feeling comes? You've just been triggered. You have an uncomfortable feeling. You feel it in your body. Now what? Okay, so I'm seeing take deep breaths, go somewhere to be alone and breathe, slow, deep breaths, shout, cry, scream. So Nick, you're letting it out. Speak out loud and say things before thinking them through. Yep, because our emotions are taking over, right? So we're not thinking through what we're saying. The words come out, yell and threaten, breathe, connect with higher power, pray. Hey, Jennifer, I cannot always walk away. And I respect where that's coming from, because sometimes if the kids are fighting or they're not safe, then you can't just go lock yourself in the bathroom. Like, their safety always comes first. Okay, yell when I know I shouldn't. And notice that shouldn't, like, that's a judgment on yourself. And we often tell ourselves what we should and shouldn't do. They call it shoulding on yourself. And that feels heavy. Taking a moment of silence, and I don't talk until he is calm. I don't think about him at all. So you're giving yourself some space. Okay. So when you're feeling these uncomfortable feelings, do you try to avoid feeling them? Do you try to suppress them or distract yourself from them? Even like the deep breathing, that is a strategy to regulate our nervous system. Because I'm now not going to focus on all the things that are triggering me. I'm going to focus on my breath. So I'm distracting myself from that. Okay, someone just said intervene impulsively, blurt things out, blame and shame. Okay, and Tracy's saying, absolutely, I try to avoid it and not deal with it. This is human behavior. Humans are always doing things to seek a pleasurable feeling or avoid an unpleasurable feeling. So anxiety, irritability, anger, all these feelings that come up for us when we're triggered, those are undesirable feelings, and natural human behavior is trying to avoid those things. So deep breathing, even though that's a beautiful strategy to self-regulate, that's avoiding. So I'm going to offer you a suggestion that might seem counterintuitive, but it's actually really helpful. So they say, whatever you resist persists. So if you're noticing I'm getting triggered, I don't like it, I'm so frustrated, I need to stop this, what's coming up in me so that I can deal calmly. Especially if it's anxiety that you're feeling. A lot of us, when we're raising kids with neurodiversity, we have a lot of anxiety in our body. So if you're trying to avoid those feelings, trying to distract yourself, and sometimes we're distracting ourselves when a lot of this is coming up with, like, maybe shopping online or having an extra drink of wine, or I don't know, gambling, or like sometimes it can be scrolling through social media on our phones and then seeing all these Insta perfect families and feeling even yuckier. Like, there's all these things that we do to try to avoid the feeling. But if you're able to allow yourself to feel the feeling for 90 seconds, that's how long it takes. It takes 90 seconds for a feeling to go all through your body, to process the feeling, 90 seconds. If you can sit with the feeling for 90 seconds, allow yourself to feel it, allow some processing of the feeling, and then move into one of your strategies, like the deep breathing or the walking away or whatever it is. But if you give yourself 90 seconds, that can go a long way. So just like what we did, name it to tame it. Like, I'm feeling really irritable right now. I'm feeling really pissed off. I'm feeling anxious, whatever it is. And it's not, I am pissed off, or I am irritable, or I am cranky, or it's not that. It's I'm feeling. So we're separating ourselves from we are not our emotions. We're feeling them. And emotions are vibrations in our body that we're feeling and we're experiencing. So if you could allow yourself 90 seconds to process, to feel without judgment and without your thoughts spinning, and the way you do that is by recognizing just what we did, where you feel it in your body. I'm feeling really anxious right now. I can feel fluttering in my chest. I can feel my breath is shorter and shallower. My stomach feels a little queasy. My head feels a little achy across here, and I can feel like tightness on the sides. Oh, I can feel tension in my shoulders. So giving yourself, and you 90 seconds to feel it if you can, Now, if you're joining me this afternoon for Heart Brain Boot Camp, I'll show you how to tap. And tapping, so the most popular form of tapping is called the emotional freedom technique. And when you tap during these moments of triggering, it helps you to release your emotions. It helps you process and release the emotions so they're not getting shoved down. Because if we shove them all down, then eventually they're going to explode, and they'll probably explode like a volcano all over our kids. So it's really important for us to learn how to process our emotions. And in my coaching, I teach tapping as an incredible tool to process emotions. And what happens is when you tap enough on these triggers, or on even little, it could be a little trigger like, oh, I stubbed my toe. Like, why do I not pay attention? And I should have known better than to trip on that backpack on the floor. And if the backpack wasn't on the floor, I wouldn't have tripped on it. Like, little things, the more you tap, the more your body gets used to the tapping, the less intense your triggers will be. Because every time you tap, it's like shaking up those emotions and releasing them. So it unsticks the energy from your body. Do you see that bumblebee? That's a glimmer. I love it. Did you see it? And there's a squirrel on my fence. There's another glimmer. Okay. The other thing with being conscious of this is, can you send the link for this afternoon's meeting? Okay. So this afternoon's meeting is from 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock Eastern time. It is for platinum VIPs. An email should have automatically gone out already to you with the link, the Zoom link for that call. Also, just before we began, about 15 minutes before we began, another email will go out. So if you don't have your platinum VIP and you really want to have the platinum so you can be in this afternoon's masterclass, and it's a boot camp. Anyway, it's beautiful. I love it. If you want to be a part of it, you need the VIP all access pass, the platinum one. If you have gold, there's an email that went out with a special code that you can use to upgrade to platinum if that's something you wish. So somebody just asked about how to get into that meeting. So check your emails. And if you're checking your emails and you're not able to find it, please check your spam, your junk, your promotion folders. If it's not in there, you can reach out to me, Coach Laura at the ADHD Village, or my team, hello at the ADHD Village, or send me a direct message on Messenger. Okay. So being conscious of your triggers is really important. You know what your triggers are, you know how they make you feel, you know how it feels in your body. So now what? If I know that I am always triggered every time my let me pick an example. Every time my son leaves his dirty dish in his room, if I know that that triggers me all the time, why am I letting that trigger me all the time? Like, let me work through it. So again, coming back to that Stuart Shanker's see a child differently, see a different child. So I could see that dirty dish in the room and think, I'm undervalued, I'm underappreciated, my kid is disrespectful, he's so messy, he doesn't care about things, he expects me to clean up after him. So I can have those thoughts, I can get triggered, I can feel irritated, which is going to drive my actions to maybe, lecture him on being messy or whatever. Or I can shift my lens. Okay, why is this happening? Maybe he doesn't even realize. Maybe he doesn't know that if he leaves a dirty dish in his room for 3 days, the ants are going to come in his room. Maybe he doesn't even see it. Like, maybe he eats a snack and he's not even processing. Maybe he's distracted by all kinds of other things and he's not even noticing. Like, and what's beneath that trigger? And this is an important thing too. It's not just that dirty dish in my son's room. It's what's going on beneath that. So maybe I'm feeling undervalued or underappreciated or disrespected. So that is more at the root of it than just the dirty plate. So that's what I want to work on. And that again is something that a coach can really help you with. So if you're being triggered by this dirty plate in your son's room, yes, you can train your kid to eventually get the dirty plate put in the kitchen sink or wherever you want it to go. But these triggers, they're almost like little gifts, because if you're getting triggered by something, it's a sign. It's telling you that there's something deeper that you need to work through. And so that dirty dish in my son's room, it could really be I don't feel valued. I don't feel appreciated. And that's where a coach can help me get to the root of that, process those emotions, dig deeper, clear up out that gunk, because having those gunky thoughts in your brain are holding you back from where you want to go. And so in my group coaching program and my private coaching, we do a lot of brain rewiring. So these triggers are like gold because it lets us know what's going on subconsciously in your brain. When we do some digging, we clear out that gunky stuff, and tapping really helps with clearing out the gunk. And then we set our intentions for where we want to go, and we wire that in. And there's a process to wire that in. And if you think about it, imagine you have a backpack on, and inside your backpack are all of these triggers and all these uncomfortable feelings and all what's beneath the triggers. So feeling undervalued, feeling not loved, feeling not respected. That backpack feels really, really heavy. And you're carrying that around everywhere. And now you're trying to be compassionate to your child. You're trying to be patient with your child. You're trying to be joyful. You're trying to feel gratitude, but you've got this heavy backpack of all this gunk that you're carrying around. And so that's where coaching can help. Let's dump out all the gunk from your backpack so you're not carrying that around with you, so you can feel what you want to feel more deeply. Can self-compassion be part of the 90 seconds of feeling the trigger feeling? Yes, but what I try to do for that 90 seconds is I try not to have any thoughts outside of my feeling. I try to just stay in my body. I'm feeling fluttering in my chest. I feel tightness in my stomach. I feel my head I stay in my body and I try to feel the feeling, because a feeling, an emotion is energy in motion. It's a vibration in your body. And if we resist it or we suppress it, it doesn't go anywhere. It's just like stuck inside of us. So you want to try to allow the feeling to be felt. Feelings are meant to be felt. They're not meant to be suppressed and shoved away and distracted from. We're meant to feel them. So 90 seconds, and you can even, hey Siri, set a timer for 90 seconds and just sit there. And even like, this feels really uncomfortable. This feels really long. Like, I don't like this feeling. And oh, now Siri's actually giving me my timer. Okay, that's fun. Okay. Okay. Does this make sense what I'm saying? Like, is this resonating with you? Let me know. Sorry, I just see people in the waiting room. Okay. How's everybody doing? Okay. So after talking about all these yucky feelings and triggers and blah, I want to get that out of me because I don't like the feeling. So we'll just spend a couple seconds, or a couple minutes just recentering our energy. So if you're open to trying just a little mini kind of tapping, we can do a little bit of mini tapping. Because if you're feeling the heaviness of this in your body now, just from talking about it, let's try to let it go. So I'm just going to lead you through. All we're going to do is squeeze the sides of each of our nail beds. And so this is a form of tapping, even though it's squeezing and not tapping. And it's something that you can do discreetly, right? You can have your hands in your lap. There's my timer. You can have your hands in your lap and nobody knows that you're doing it. You can do it while you're going for a walk. So let's honestly, let's do this for 90 seconds. So hey Siri, set a timer for 90 seconds. Okay. So for 90 seconds, we're just going to be squeezing the sides of our nail beds. And I want you just to tune in to your body and how you're feeling. And if you're feeling any yuckiness, allow it. It's okay. Just notice if you have tension in your shoulders, in your back, your neck, your head. Notice The position of your feet. Are they crossed over each other? Are they tight or are they relaxed? Notice your stomach. Is there any kind of swirling feeling in your stomach, or an empty feeling, or a butterfly feeling? Notice your chest. Are there any vibrations in your chest? Any feelings that are fast or slow? And take a deep breath. And another one. And notice if it's easy to take that breath, or whether it felt heavy or shallow. Just notice your breathing. Notice any tension you might feel across your forehead or behind your eyes. Okay, that was 90 seconds. Just 90 seconds. And that's what I do literally. I tune into my body. I think of the different parts. I recognize what I feel. And sometimes I'll be telling myself, and I don't like this stomach ache, and I don't like how it's fluttering. And that's okay. Just stay in it for 90 seconds. And then afterwards, just reach out wide. So we're opening up our chest. It's really powerful to open up your chest. You can even put your hands on your hips while your chest is open. This is called Wonder Woman pose. And this is a really powerful pose, builds confidence, self-compassion. And in this Wonder Woman pose, let's take 3 cleansing breaths together. And I'm going to be breathing in and out through my nose. We learned from Olive Hickmott during her session and during her live that when you breathe in and out through your nose cleanses the air, it humidifies the air. This helps with the oxygen that flows to all the cells in your body. So let's take 3 deep breaths together. Try to have your belly really moving in and out as you breathe. And another deep belly breath through in and out through your nose. You can keep breathing deeply if you like to. I would just keep your chest open, hands on your hips a little longer if you'd like to while you're breathing. As you're focusing on your breathing and you're trying to make those breaths deep in your belly, so your belly's moving up and down, that belly moving up and down massages the vagus nerve, which tells your brain, I don't need to be in fight, flight, or freeze mode. I can relax. And now this is the strategy that you hear often, right? Just breathe, take mindful, deep breaths. Yes, but I like to process the feelings first, acknowledge them, allow them first, and then go into the breathing. Yeah, it could bring tears to your eyes. This is an emotional process, right? You're feeling your feelings. It's okay to feel your feelings. And so now reach out wide and now gather all the energy and all the love and all the glimmers that are around us. And you're going to cross your arms. You can give yourself a squeeze. You can rock, whatever feels good. And so I like the crossing of the arms because any time that you cross across the midline, your body crosses the midline, that's good for the brain. Remember, I talked about at the beginning, the right and the left hemispheres of the brain. There's a little bit of a weak connection or communication between the 2 hemispheres. Any kind of crossing the midline exercises is really good for the brain. So this is across the midline. Squeezing the arms is kind of like a natural, if you think, if you walk by your kid and they need comfort, you might squeeze their arms. Maybe your mom did this to you when you were little. So you can give yourself this love and self-compassion. Rocking sometimes feels really good. When you rock your baby to soothe them, you were probably rocked when you were little. And then what I do, this is after I felt my feelings, after I've done some tapping, is I tell myself, I love you, I love you, I love you, no matter what, I love you. And I don't think we tell ourselves that ever often, like it doesn't feel like a natural thing. Go ahead and try it right now. Just tell yourself, I love you, I love you, I love you. I love you even when you're irritable. I love you even when you're anxious. I love you even when you have that squeezing feeling in your chest. And then somebody was asking about the self-compassion. Now this is a nice time to do the self-compassion. And if you're curious about the self-compassion, in our live session in Facebook yesterday with Elizabeth Sauter, right at the very end of the session, she led us through Kristen Neff's 5-minute self-compassion exercise, and it was really powerful. If you're in my world, in my coaching world, after we've felt the feelings and we've tapped on the triggers and we've done some digging deep to figure out what's going on, we then do more tapping to tap in the thoughts and beliefs and the feelings that we want to wire into our brains. Another little grounding thing that you can do after that is just cross your hands, put them on top of your head, and just push down. So this comes from Kathy Flaminio's Move Mindfully. And Kathy says that while she does this, she's imagining the highway between the thinking brain and the emotional brain, that she's making that highway a little bit shorter and bringing them closer together. So the thinking brain is that prefrontal lobe, the emotional brain, the amygdala. So when you're giving that little massage at the top of your head, it's like you're bringing those two together and letting them know. And I like to consciously think about this, letting them know, like, it's okay. Like, my executive functions can work together with my emotions. Like, it's okay. Like, reconnect that thinking brain with my emotions. It's okay. It's like the frontal lobe is pushing down on that amygdala and saying, like, I'm here. It's okay. I've got you. In Jennifer Kolari's talk yesterday, she often talks about parents are the frontal lobe for their kids. Kids need that pushing down. Like, this is why, like, they try to push limits. That's their job, to figure out what the limits are, and they're going to push, and they need you to lovingly just push down, be their frontal lobe and push down and let them know what the limits are. Put your flip lid back down. That's right, Rose. Put that flip lid back down. I've got you. I love you. I've got you. Okay. So I know we want to talk about what to do in the heat of the moment. And that could be a first step for you for the heat of the moment. I also want to talk briefly, and I'm trying to be mindful of time, about preventative things that you can do. So if you are in the Love You Parenting membership, and so this comes free with the VIP All Access Pass. Whether you have gold or platinum, you get 1 month support of Love You Parenting. If you don't have the VIP All Access Pass and that's not something that you desire, but you would like to have support in a community, oodles of resources, coaching from me, the Love You Parenting membership is $33 a month. So reach out to me if you'd like the link for that. I'd love to have you in there. It's also on my website, the ADHD Village. You can find the link for that there. But in the Love You Parenting membership, in the guide section, there's the Love You Parenting intensive course. So this explains the whole, like, what Love You Parenting is. And in the first module, so Love You is an acronym. So LOVEU all stands for something. And the U is for you, like taking care of you. And that's a module 1, because it starts with you taking care of yourself and your needs first. You know, that this saying, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. If you're this pitcher and you need to be giving water to everyone in your family and there's nothing in your pitcher to give, you have nothing to give. So you need to fill yourself up first. So if you are in the Love You Parenting membership, go to the guide section, click on the intensive course, and you can watch module 1, which is you, and it will give you all sorts of strategies in there on how you can practice self-love, self-compassion, self-kindness, self-care. If you watched Dr. Joel Gator Warsh, his session was from day 3, so yesterday. If you missed his session, you can catch it on the weekend. So we've got all the replays over the weekend. But he talks about the seeds of health, and like, this is like the basics. So SEED stands for, oh boy, let's see, sleep, exercise, environment, diet, and stress management. So those are, I'm not going to go through all of that, but those are some things that you can do for your self-care, for your self-love, self-compassion. Take care of yourself first. We are all energy. And if we're coming from this frustrated, furious, fatigue, fearful place, it's really hard to give our kids what we want. So love you members, check out that module number 1 on you. And maybe just because I want to get into what to do in the heat of the moment, in the comments, if everybody could share, and this is how we can support each other, share one thing that you can do to show yourself self-love, self-care, self-compassion, something that fills you up. And it doesn't have to be like a spa day. It doesn't have to be something big. It can be something little, something that fills you up. Surfing, love it. It's important that we take care of ourselves. We can't just be taking care of our kids. We have to take care of ourselves first. And also, when we take care of ourselves, it shows our kids that we value self-care. It's important because we want them to take care of themselves too, right? Eventually, they're going to grow up and be out there on their own, and they're going to have to take care of themselves. So we want them to value self-care. They're going to learn that from us. Okay, meditating on my porch in the morning, even for 1 minute. Beautiful, Maria. Morning Bible reading, beautiful. Taking a walk, smoothing the dog, running. Rest when my body tells me to do so. Chantal, that's so valuable because often when we're tired, we suppress that and push it away. Like, I don't have time to be tired. I have so much to do. And wouldn't it be like selfish and lazy of me to lay down on the couch for half an hour? No, if your body's telling you I'm tired, listen to your body. And that's actually module 2, which is L in the Love You Parenting, which stands for listening to your body, and also how to deeply listen to your kids. Okay, journaling. What do the seeds stand for? Sleep, environment, exercise, diet, and stress management. And that's Dr. Gator War. She's a pediatrician in California, and his sessions from day 3, which will air again on the weekend. Okay, Pilates, impromptu kitchen dance party. Love it, Kara. Sounds like so much fun. Clearing just one pile of something. Yes, Rose, I love it. Just cleaning up one little thing really feels good. Walking in the forest or having a bath. 5 minutes of mindfulness every day. Praying, gratitude. Tea time. Oh my goodness, so beautiful. And I can't see what's on Facebook. Oh, there. Heather says, I'm super bad at self-care. So notice that thought. I'm super bad at self-care. How does that feel? Is that a thought that's helping you? If you want to get better at self-care, if you have the thought, I'm super bad at self-care, it's going to be hard to get better at self-care. So what I like to do when I notice these ants, I call them automatic negative thoughts, that comes from Dr. Daniel Amen. When I notice those ants and I know they're not helpful, I like to add up until now. So I have been really super bad at self-care up until now. That opens up the door that things can change. Jocelyn, swimming makes me mermaid free. I love it. Listening to my favorite song. Yes, music is so powerful. Lovely. Stretching. Oh, listening to me. Thank you. That's sweet. Doing the suggestions. Yay. Okay. Okay, so the best way to prevent our kids from having these great big escalations, meltdowns, all the things, number 1 is take care of you. Take care of you. Your kids are picking up on your energy. Alma, I know Alma's watching here. Her session aired yesterday. And if you're enjoying this talk about energetics, you will enjoy Alma's session. It will air again over the weekend. So Saturday and Sunday, you can tune into it. And Alma talks and explains about how we are connected to our kids. So it's not just this, oh yes, they feel our energy. There's actual science that supports how they feel our energy and how we are connected to our mother, our siblings, our children. So you're going to want to tune into Alma's session to go a little bit deeper into that. So number 1 thing, take care of you. The other thing is connect with your kids. Connection, because so often when these behaviors are happening, you probably heard the expression attention-seeking behavior. I don't like that term. It sounds like to me, it sounds like they're looking for attention. It sounds like eh, I like connection seeking. They're seeking connection. They're seeking love. Dr. Russell Barkley says the children who need love the most seek it in the most unloving ways. The name calling, the pushing, the yelling, the screaming, the rolling the eyes, the slamming the doors, the throwing things across the room. These are really unloving behaviors. These are kids that are needing love the most. I think that that is really powerful. We can keep that in mind when we're seeing these undesirable behaviors. They are seeking love and connection. They are seeking security. They want to feel safe and loved. They want to feel valued. Imagine these kids are going to school and they are struggling. A lot of them are struggling all day long, like trying to focus, trying not to get in trouble, trying to listen to the teacher, all the things. Recess time might be brutal for them. Maybe they're left out, maybe they're teased, maybe they're bullied. There's a lot going on that can feel like they're not valued. Also, by the age of 12, kids with ADHD receive 20,000 more pieces of negative criticism about themselves compared to their neurotypical peers. Imagine what that does to their self-esteem and how they value themselves. Feels pretty yucky. So the behaviors we're seeing, if we dig down deep to the roots, it often comes to these core needs of the need to feel loved, the need to feel safe, and the need to feel valued. And in the Love You Parenting membership, in that Love You Parenting Intensive, if you watch modules 2, 3, 4, so module 2 is on L for listen. Module 3 is O for oxytocin. That's all about the love and the connection. And V is for validate and value. It will go into much deeper explanation of how you can do this to build connection with your kids, help them feel loved and valued. Listening deeply, when you listen deeply to your child, and I think this comes up in Jennifer Kalari's session from day 3. Again, it will air over the weekend, or if you have VIP pass, you can watch it anytime. But when you listen deeply to a child, and part of this deep listening means that your facial expression is matching what they're saying. Your tone of voice, your body language is matching what they're saying. You're validating their feelings. For example, let's say they say they had this horrible day at school and their picture was just horrible that they drew and they were so frustrated with it and they ripped it up and threw it in the garbage. And if you say, "Oh, I can imagine, like, that's so hard. I'm so sorry. And I know how much you love to draw. That must have been so frustrating for you." So just like letting your tone of voice, your facial expression match. It doesn't mean you're agreeing with what they're saying. "Oh, you're right. Your drawing really sucked." But you're validating their feelings. So by doing that, oxytocin is released into their bloodstream. When oxytocin is released into their bloodstream, they're getting these feelings of safety, security, connection. It helps them to empathize with others. It helps them to feel like they can take risks. It helps them feel that connection. And also, your body cannot release oxytocin and cortisol at the same time. So cortisol is that stress hormone. So while you're deeply listening to your child, you're connecting with them, you're helping them feel loved and safe, and you're blocking stress from being released into their system. So when we're talking about how to keep your cool, especially when your kids are losing it, we want to prevent them from losing it in the first place. And a way that you can prevent it is by building in connection time. Sonali's session, I think, was on day 3 as well. She talks about love bombs, and these are like little micro moments, almost like glimmers, little micro moments of connection with your child. So you may think, I have 3 kids, I work full time, they're all in activities, I don't have time to do this connection every day. It can be simple, really, really simple. And it could be as simple as deeply listening to them, or as simple as connecting with them on their love language. Like if their love language is words of affirmation, then maybe you're mindfully commenting in a way to let them know you appreciate them. Like, wow, thank you for hanging up your backpack. That shows me that you're really responsible. And it also shows me that you care about me, because how much it means to me when the backpacks are off the floor and on the hooks. And I really appreciate that you did that. That's a moment of connection. Or listening to them as they're explaining something about their video game that you're thinking like, could care less about this ridiculous video game. I have zero interest in video games and I've got a million things to do. But if you can pause for 3 minutes and listen to what they're telling you, oh, wow, you mean when you got to that level, then this happened? Oh, tell me more. And so how did you do that? Like, just, it can be 3 minutes of connection. And it's like putting connection in a connection bank. If you imagine this cute little piggy bank, and every time you connect, it's like putting a coin into the bank. So when stuff gets hard for your kids, if their bank is empty, it's easier for them to have this, volcano eruption of behavior. But if that bank is full, then when they get triggered, their triggered reactions may not be as big, or it might be easier for you to co-regulate them. So connection, connection, connection. Connection is also the antidote for addiction. And people with ADHD statistically are more likely to suffer from addictions. Connection is the antidote for addiction. Okay, I need to take a breath and a sip of water, which I encourage you to do the same too. And if you feel like you've been sitting too long, wiggle around in your chair if you need to, get up and stretch if you need to. Okay. So in our Facebook group, the thing that most people wanted to know about was what to do in the heat of the moment. So here we go. The heat of the moment. Your child is having a big tantrum in the grocery store. They asked for a chocolate. You said no. They're on the floor kicking and screaming. Or the one child knocked over the other child's Lego creation, and now they're screaming and throwing things and so angry at their sibling, and they're going to get them back by doing all. So you're in the heat of it. It's yucky. It's ugly. You may not be able to give yourself the 90 seconds and say, oh, I'm feeling very frustrated, right? Because you're in the middle of it and you need to get in there with your kids. Something to remind yourself is their emotions are not an emergency. And I wish I had known that when my kids were little, because to me, every time they had these big emotional reactions, oh, like I got like really like, oh my God, like I have to stop it. We can't stop it. Once they're in that meltdown or in that tantrum, they need to feel their feelings too. They need to go through it. They need to process it. You need to keep your cool. You don't want to jump in the fire with them. Keep your cool. So as I was kind of explaining how I felt back when my kids were little, and I did this intake of breath, like, that's what you do when you're startled, when you're upset. It's like this, right? So what if you're doing this deep breathing to help regulate your nervous system, rather than starting with an inhale and an exhale, it's like starting with the inhale, start with an exhale rather than starting with an inhale. Because what do you do when you're relaxed? You do a sigh of relief. So the explosions are happening all around you. And that takes 3 or 4 seconds or 5 or 7. Like, it doesn't take long. So they're yelling and screaming. They're doing their thing. Give yourself 5 seconds and in Jennifer Kalari's session, she explains this more, and she also tells us to drop our tongues. So often when you're stressed, your tongue goes to the roof of your mouth. If you relax your jaw in this exhale, it's also going to bring your tongue down. When your tongue is down, it also sends the message to your body, I can rest and digest, which means I don't need to be in fight, flight, or freeze mode. So step number 1 in these big heated moments is, that's a breath for you. The next thing that I do is I make contact with them. So I look at them Maybe I'm holding them on either side if that's what they need. Maybe I'm touching their back if that's what they need. Like, your kid and what they need. Maybe it's eye contact. And then I'm telling them in just minimal amounts of words, because when their emotions are high, they can't process language well. You're okay. Or I love you, or you're safe, whatever it is. So often in these moments, if you say, I love you, that's like a pattern interrupt, because they're expecting, I just hit my brother and I am screaming my brains out and I know what's coming. Mom's going to yell at me to stop and behave and keep my hands to myself. That's what's coming. So they're anticipating this. And if you yell and scream the way they're anticipating, then you're going to give them that hit of dopamine and adrenaline to their brains. And they're going to be like, oh, thank you. Ha. So a pattern interrupt is when you interrupt that cycle and react or respond differently. So, and if we're remembering that kids ask for love in the most unloving ways, the kids who need love the most are asking for it in the most unloving ways. Here's this big explosive unloving behavior that's happening. If we can see like what's beneath it is maybe this need to feel loved or the need to feel safe or valued. If you're giving that to them, I love you. I love you. So you take your breath. I love you. So sometimes just that is enough to start to settle them down, because you're not yelling, you're not screaming, you're not telling them to move away. Like, I love you. And they know that you're there and that you're in control and that you're calm and they're feeling your energy. And then I do a second breath, and that breath is for them. So I breathe for me first, I breathe for them second. This is like the idea of when you're on an airplane and they say in an emergency, you put your oxygen mask on first and then you put your child's on. I love you. So that second breath, in my mind, it's for them. I'm hoping that they'll breathe with me. Even if they don't breathe with me, the mirror neurons in their brain are seeing me exhaling slowly and calmly. Their mirror neurons are going to pick up on that energy. So that's where I start. And then I go into my love you method. So the U is already done before any of this happens. So now it's the L. So we want to listen deeply. We want to listen deeply to what's going on with them. And it doesn't mean that we're going to start talking about things in the moment, because they're escalated. So maybe they just need to know that you're there for them. Make sure they're safe if there's two of them fighting and separated in whatever way, but I'm here for you. Let me know when you want to talk. I can see how hard this is for you. You worked so hard on that Lego creation and your brother destroyed it. Of course you're upset. Of course you're angry. You worked on that for hours and now it's broken into all these pieces on the floor. And you have to put it back together again. And that doesn't feel good. You probably don't want to be putting it back together again. So you're validating how they're feeling. You're connecting with them. That's the LOV. And then the E, sorry, that's the LOV. And the E is allowing them to feel their emotions, allowing them to express their emotions, allowing them to have their emotions. And we want this to be in a safe way. And the E part in the love you. So yes, they can feel and express their emotions. It has to be in a safe way. And that's something that you can do as a preventative. Like when you're feeling angry, what does anger feel like in your body? What do you want to do with your anger? Like maybe you want to punch and hit something. So maybe you set up a pillow or a punching bag or something that they can punch and hit. Or maybe you have a trampoline that they can jump on to get that energy out. Or maybe when they feel anger, they want to go to the bathroom and just and like let it out. So you come up with ways for how they can express their emotions, their anger, their frustration in a way that's safe and acceptable in your family. Give them time to cool down. So we want to not have any kind of logical conversation until the executive function skills are back online. And that can't happen until the emotions have been processed. So again, you're breathing for yourself. You're making a connection like, I love you. You're safe. You're okay. Whatever it is, just something very short. And exhale. And then you're connecting with them. You're listening. You're validating. You're mirroring. So our instinct might be to fix the problem. Oh no, your brother broke your leg. Oh, come on, let's fix it. I'll help you build it. Like, to fix it right away. We don't want to fix things right away. We want to allow them to feel their feelings. Just like we talked about our own triggers in the beginning, giving ourselves to feel the feelings. The other thing is, we don't want to be like cheerleading. Like, it's okay. Like, it's just Lego. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Or it's just a drawing. Don't worry about it. Or he didn't mean to do it. Like, when we cheerlead, we're not validating. And also, if we're trying to be like smiley and cheerful and that's not what they're feeling, it sends a mixed message to the mirror neurons on their brain, and it's confusing and it feels unsafe. So if you think about it, imagine you had a rotten day at work. Maybe your boss piled all this stuff on top of you without even like thanking you for this incredible job that you did on this other thing. And then maybe she snapped at you or said something rude, or what, you just had a miserable day. And you come home, you tell your partner, I had this horrible day, this and this and this happened. You tell your partner all about it. What do you want them to do? You want them to say, oh, that sucks. Like, I can't believe she said that to you. After all that work, like, you worked through the weekend on that project and she didn't even acknowledge you. And then you're like, yeah, she didn't even acknowledge all that work I did and started piling on all this extra. Like, that's what you want from your partner or from your friend. You want them to like, just, yeah, agree, like, validate how you're feeling. Now imagine your partner says, what are you getting so upset about? Like, what do you want your boss to do? Like, praise you and give you stickers every time you do a good job? Like, of course, like, you're doing a good job and that should feel good for you. And like, why do you need her to do that? Or are you being too sensitive? Like, you had a crummy sleep last night and I think you're getting your period. So maybe you're just being too sensitive. So like, it's okay. Like, let's just have a good night. Let's just forget about it and have a good night. Like, that would be how do you say it? You know the word I'm trying to say, infuriating. I can't say it. Frustrating, right? Like, really, like, oh, that would not feel good. So with our kids, imagine your child's upset. His brother one child's upset because his brother destroyed his Lego, and you say, it's okay. Like, I'll help you build it again. It's okay. He didn't mean to. Come on, I'll help you do it again. It's okay. It won't take us long at all. It would just take 5 minutes. Let's move on. Like, if you jump right into that, they're feeling like, oh, she doesn't get how mad I am. She doesn't understand how much that Lego creation meant to me. And then what happens is their behavior gets bigger and louder because you didn't get the message the first time. So they're going to really make sure you get the message. And now they're going to start screaming and it's going to get bigger. So in those heated moments, take a breath for yourself, connect to your child, take a breath for your child, and then you're going to do the LOV, which is from the Love You Parenting Method. If you're in the membership, watch those videos to go into more detail. But basically what you're doing in that LOV is you're listening deeply, you're finding a way to connect, and it could be a physical connection if that's what they need, rubbing their arm, rubbing their back, squeezing. You're connecting, you're validating their feelings, your face, your tone of voice, your body language, all of that is matching so it feels safe for them. Sometimes just doing that is enough to bring things down. Sometimes just giving them the space to feel their feelings and letting them feel your calming energy is enough to bring things down. If you need to do more, wait till those executive function skills have come back online. Wait until they've calmed their emotions. That might not be until the next day. It might be an hour later. It might be a little while later. But you can't have those problem solving conversations until the emotions are processed first. And we get into this much more deeply in the Love You Parenting membership. I have gone over time. Let me know what has resonated with you the most. What is something that you received from this conversation that you are going to take with you, something you're going to try. Maybe if there's something you need more clarification on, go ahead and just get that out. So it's not in your brain, put it out in front of you. And it's okay. I'll spend another 10 minutes or so to see if I can help you through some of this. And again, at the beginning of the conversation, I said, thank you so much for being here. And I'll say it again. I'm so grateful to spend this time with you. The new content for the summit has all the new content has been released. The replay is Saturday, Sunday. So you have time to dive into sessions that are meaningful to you on Saturday, Sunday. The VIP pass gives you unlimited replays. It's like watching on demand. So please take advantage of that. If you're looking for taking this to the next level, looking for more support, like I said, I still work with a coach. We're not meant to do this alone. We're meant to do it with support. We get results faster and easier when we work together. Please reach out to me. I have my next round of my group coaching program called the ADHD Warrior Mamas. That's starting in the fall. I'm taking 10 new warrior mamas into that space. So if you're looking for more support, if you're looking for ways to connect with your child, to regulate emotions, to have more happiness, more harmony in your family, the ADHD Warrior Mama program is a beautiful program. I'm just going to read some of your comments now. How do I get to the comments? Can you do the fingertip pressing on your kiddos' fingers for them? Would it have the same effect? Yeah. So with this fingertip pressing, that's something you would want to teach to them in a moment of calm. So you can teach it to them by just doing it for yourself. And they might be curious. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, this is a strategy that I use when I'm feeling emotions. This helps me process my emotions. You want to try? How does it feel? So you can do it in moments of calm. Okay. Or even put that into your routine. Okay. Before breakfast, we're going to squeeze each of our fingers. And maybe you do it as a game. Let's see who can do it the fastest. Let's see how slowly we can do it. So yeah, so you want to play with it, do it during moments of calm so that it's easier to access those tools in the moments of stress. So I'm a school teacher. We do fire drill practice when everybody's calm. We don't do it when there's smoke in the building. So you practice these strategies when there's calm. So it's easier to access because your body will have the muscle memory, easier to access in the times of stress. You could do it for them too. You could say because it's the squeezing feeling. Can I have your hand? Can I squeeze your fingers for you? Tell me how that feels. And if it's something that they do like in a moment of calm, then in a moment of stress, you can say, can I squeeze your fingers? And they might just hand over, that might be good for them. What to do in the heat of the moment with my teen when both our egos are high. Yes. So these strategies work for little kids, for teenagers, for adults. So when the same thing, take a breath for yourself. I love you. I tell that to my teenagers. They might have just said something very rude to me, in my judgment, in my lens. And I'll say, I love you. I can see you're having a hard time. Let me know when you want to talk. And then I give space. Because I'm not going to stay there while they're shooting that's okay. You feel your feelings. I'm here when you want to talk. Okay. A lot of times we grew up hearing if we say, I love you, we are rewarding their bad behavior. Yes. And now we have research and neuroscience that backs up this new parenting method. We're not rewarding their bad behavior. We're just trying to connect with them. We're not seeing it as bad behavior. We're seeing it as an unloving way for seeking love, or they're emotionally dysregulated. And it's not Oh, I love you. I love you. It's okay. Like, don't cry. Like that's not what we're doing. It's a quick little, I love you. It's okay. Like, imagine yourself when you're really upset and really angry. If, if at that time your partner said, I don't think you should have any more coffee. You had 2 coffees today and look at what it's done to your behavior. No more coffee for you. Like, we're not consequencing for this behavior, because we have behaviors when we're emotionally dysregulated too. But imagine your partner says, I love you. It's going to be okay. That's not rewarding my bad behavior. That is regulating my nervous system. That's bringing me out of this fight, flight, or freeze mode. And then when things are calm, that's when you have the discussion. So whatever the bad behavior was, like, you threw a toy across the room. Oh my goodness. I know that you were so angry and so frustrated, but boy, I was scared when you did that. I was so worried that that toy was going to hit your baby sister. Imagine if that toy flying across the room hit your baby sister in the face. That could do some damage. But you're having that conversation out of the heat of the moment once their emotions have settled. I get you were angry. What's a safe way you can express your anger? You want to throw something? Why don't we have like a bucket full of bean bags and a target? And when you're mad, you pick up those bean bags and you chuck them at the target. And that's okay. That's a safe way for you to get that. Because sometimes we want to throw when we're angry. So is there a spot where they can throw? So yeah, we're not rewarding bad behavior. We're regulating their nervous system and shifting the lens on how we think about that. Summer's interested in the tapping method. Okay, any suggestions for a teen who insists on talking right now? I express over and over, we need time before we can talk or say things. I don't think our conversation will be successful right now. Let's talk later, but he insists over and over and over. So I would look at that is that insisting on talking is like, again, that's that need to feel validated, that need for connection, that need to feel loved and safe. And that's why your teen's not wanting to let it go in the moment. Like they're needing that connection. So try that method with them. I love you. It's going to be okay. I can see like how upset you are right now. Of course you're upset. And so maybe if they need, maybe they do like, maybe if you do some validating statements first, that will help settle things down so that things are calm enough so you can have that conversation. Or if you yourself are dysregulated, you let them know, I love you. It's going to be okay. I can see how upset you are right now. I'm really upset right now too. I'm feeling emotionally dysregulated. I need to take care of myself first before we can have this conversation. So it's not about you telling them that they need to calm down. It's like, I need it for myself. I'm going into the bathroom. I'm closing the door for 2 minutes, and you go in there, you set your timer for 90 seconds and you tap however, or, process your feelings. I'm so frustrated. I can't believe this is happening again. The same conversation, and they just want to talk when it's like, and you let it out, feel your feelings. And my chest is so tight. My stomach is hurting. My head is hurting. Like, why does this keep happening? You process your feelings, you let it out, and then you come back out. And so what that's doing is that's modeling for your child that you have feelings too, that you need time for yourself to process your emotions before you can have an intelligent conversation. So it's not just about them needing to cool down, it's you need to cool down too, and you're letting them know that you need to cool down. I hope that helped. Thank you so much for this. It was amazing. You're so welcome. Tapping. Yeah, the cheerleading, because we think, so the message that just came in is didn't realize that cheerleading is invalidating your child, because we think we want to get them out of this funk, right? We want to get them out of this bad move. We want to go and have a good day. We want to have some fun. We don't want them dwelling on the negativity for too long. We don't want to be feeding the negativity. So let's cheer them up and get them out. But just like how I talked with your own triggers at the beginning, we need to allow them to feel those feelings first. We need to validate those feelings first, and then we can move on. If you've seen the movie Inside Out, I love the part where sadness and joy, they find that imaginary elephant friend. And sadness, of course, is really sad about, I don't know, being away from Riley or whatever's going on in Riley's life. And Joy keeps trying to cheer her up. It's going to be okay. And this and that. And that is just so irritating. Wait, or is that the elephant she's trying to cheer up? I think she's trying to cheer up the elephant. And then sadness sits with the elephant and says, this is really hard. This feels really heavy. And that's what the elephant, and I think it's an elephant, the imaginary elephant. That's what that character needed to open up. And just like somebody like mirroring how that elephant was feeling and like validating the feeling, like, that's what they need in the moment. So yeah, of course we want to cheerlead, but we need to allow the emotions to happen first. Yeah. So someone just said the child who seeks love the most seeks it in the most unloving ways. I think that's a really powerful thing to stick on your fridge or something. Breathing and LOVE. Yes. The 90 seconds to feel your emotions. Can you show the squeezing fingers at the side? Is it top or it's the side of the nail beds? Okay. Oh yeah, Bing Bong. Thank you. Bing Bong from Inside Out. Riley's imaginary friend. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Okay. There was so much more I still wanted to share with you. I will share this onto my YouTube channel, and it's in the Facebook group. So if you want to watch again, if anything comes up for you, if there's any questions, please reach out at any time. What I would like to leave you with is where your focus goes, your energy flows. So focus on the glimmers, focus on what it is that you want for yourself, for your child, for your family. Imagine having family time that is enjoyable and fun. And what would that look like? And what would it feel like? And what kinds of things would you do? Like if there weren't all these heated, explosive moments, what could you do with that time? Like imagine like going to a family party and not having to worry about, behaviors ruining the party. Just play with that, visualize. And that's another thing in the Love You, the V stands for visualize. Visualize what you want for yourself, for your child, for your family. Feel into that visualization. What would it feel like? And then ask yourself, what do you need to do to get there? So what are your next steps? So maybe your next steps are you're going to watch these videos and take notes and find some takeaways from each, and maybe pick 1 or 2 or 3 things that you're going to start implementing. Maybe you're going to reach out to one of our experts from the summit, somebody who really resonated with you. Maybe your next step is to start doing some self-care for yourself. Maybe your next step is you don't want to do this alone. You want results that are faster and easier. You want community, and you're going to reach out to me and say, hey, I want to be a warrior mama, or hey, I need to get in that Love You parenting membership. And just so you know, the difference between the two is the level of support. So the Love You parenting membership is for those of you who want to dip your toes into what coaching feels like. The Warrior Mamas is my full program. It's if I could go back in time to when I was struggling the most with my little kids, what would I have needed to know to get me out of those rough situations, to support my children, to bring more love and happiness and kindness and harmony into our families? How could we be more successful instead of drowning in overwhelm? So Warrior Mamas is like when you have this vision of what you want your life to be like, and you're not able to get there because there's barriers in the way, you want some help to get there. And it is a close community. I keep the group small so that it's like, if you're watching Elizabeth's call yesterday, it's like a sisterhood. It's a beautiful, close, connected group. We love and support each other. I help you really look into your thinking. so that you can rewire your brain towards success and harmony for your family. I use tapping. I use all kinds of modalities. Anyway, it is my signature program. It is my passion project. I would love to support you in there. Please reach out if that's something you're interested in, and I'll see how I can support you. And for my platinum VIPs, I will see you at 1:00. So in about an hour and a half from now. And just before I say goodbye, I'll just read it and see if there's any questions. How do I sign up for Warrior Mamas? So Annie, yeah, so if you're interested in Warrior Mamas, please reach out to me. We'll have and we'll talk about it. So this isn't something that is just signing up for. This is, we want to make sure that we're a good fit for each other. I want to make sure you're a good fit for the program. I want to make sure that you're sure that I would be a good coach for you. So reach out to me and we'll connect and we'll sort that out. Okay. I always hate the goodbye part because I love feeling your energy. I am going to press stop on the recording. So if you do want to turn on your cameras to say goodbye and we can say goodbye to each other and see each other, you can even turn off your microphones. So I will stop the recording now.